Welcome to the next phase in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Galveston District Civil Works Program series. In this episode, we dive into the dynamic world of construction, where plans materialize into tangible structures, marking a significant leap forward in our project journey. Before the heavy machinery starts humming, congressional approvals is paramount. Once given the green light, the project moves from paper to reality, initiating the construction phase. Let's explore how the gears start turning after Congress gives its nod.
Hi everyone, my name's Paul Vigil. I'm project engineer at Houston Resident Office. Today we have Tricia Campbell. She's the Chief of Construction Management Support Section. And today we're going to be talking about construction phase of a civil works project. With congressional approval secured, how does a project transition from the planning stages to the actual construction phase? What key steps mark the beginning of construction, and how does this pivotal approval shape the project's trajectory?
Thank you. So in the planning phase, the team will have developed a set of plans and specs under the planning, engineering, design part of the phase. So those specifications, those will ultimately be used to advertise the contract so that contractors can bid on it. So those advertised specs will go through the procurement process. Contracting will either evaluate who the low bidder is, or they'll go through a negotiation process to determine who we're going to award that contract to. Once the contract is awarded, then it's coming to the construction side of the house to manage, so to the resident offices to manage the contract. So once you award that contract, the contractor will start sending in his or her pre-construction submittals, like his safety plan, quality control plan, or any submittals that are needed prior to the start of the construction. So the resident office will review those documents, make sure they're satisfactory, and then when the resident office thinks that things are satisfactory, then they'll set up the pre-construction conference with the contractor. So the contractor will come in. Both sides, both the government and the contractor, have a chance to meet, discuss the contract requirements, and the contractor will explain how he's going to do the job, and the government will make sure the contractor understands the contract requirements. At the pre-construction conference, usually, but not always, is when the notice to proceed will be issued. So the notice to proceed will be issued by the contracting officer, and that is the start of construction. So that is when the contract officially starts, that's when the clock starts, and then the resident office will manage the job all the way until construction completion.
Construction is a collaborative effort, and the non-federal sponsor continues to play a critical role by contributing their cost share.
Question 2, how does the non-federal sponsor's cost share contribute to the construction phase, and what are the key aspects of this financial partnership? How does this collaboration impact the seamless execution of the construction process?
So really making sure that, for one, the sponsor knows the timelines on getting the funding, that's important. And during construction, it's important that the resident office and other teammates are making the OMs and PMs aware of if additional funding is needed, because those local sponsors, they may not have the money in their account. They may have to go get approval. They may have to go back to the Port Commission. The port may have to vote on it. And even for the federal funding, the OMs or PMs, they may have to go up the chain to get more money themselves. So as far as the seamless requirement for the sponsor funding, it's communication to make sure the funding is in place in sufficient time so it doesn't impact the job.
Efficient construction management is the backbone of a successful project. During this phase, specialized teams oversee the day-to-day activities, ensuring adherence to plans, timelines, and quality standards.
What are the key responsibilities of the construction management teams during the construction phase? How do they ensure that the project stays on track, meeting both regulatory requirements and project goals?
So in the construction management support section, we have construction managers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and project scheduler. So all of our personnel are trying to help the resident office manage the execution of the project. So one thing that our section does is we serve as the liaison between the resident office and the district staff. So for example, the construction managers are working with the project engineers out in the field, and any issues that the project engineers have that need district support, such as running an RFI or a submittal through engineering, a request for information or a submittal, they will go to the construction manager, and the construction manager will coordinate with engineering to resolve those questions.
On-site supervision is critical for maintaining the highest standards of safety, quality, and precision. Our skilled engineers are on the ground ensuring that every detail aligns with the meticulous crafted plans.
How does on-site supervision contribute to the overall success of the construction phase? What challenges might arise, and how are they efficiently addressed to keep the project moving forward?
First off, on-site supervision is conducted at the resident office. So you have project engineers and quality assurance representatives that are assigned to a contract and are managing it. So what the quality assurance rep is doing in the field is they have the contract requirements, the plans and specs, and they're making sure that the contractor is adhering to those specifications. So one part of the contract requirements is the contractor has to do quality control. So quality control is the contractor managing his own people and making sure that his staff is adhering to the plans and specs. Our quality assurance rep is going through and making sure that the contractor's quality control plan is working properly. So really we're out there observing the contractor, making sure that he's conducting quality control. Also, it's the contractor's responsibility to identify deficiencies. So that's something that we want the contractor to find deficiencies, because if he doesn't define deficiencies, then it means he's not doing quality control. Because you're always going to have something that's not done right, because things don't always go perfectly. So our quality assurance rep and the project engineer are making sure that the contractor is tracking those deficiencies and correcting them.
Contracts are the foundation of any construction project. The Corps of Engineers meticulously oversees these agreements, ensuring that contractors deliver on their commitments and that the project stays within scope and budget.
Can you elaborate on the role of contract oversight during the construction phase? How does USACE ensure the contractors adhere to agreed upon terms, and what mechanisms are in place to address potential challenges?
So the ACO and the contracting officer maintain a very close relationship on the contract. Ultimately, the ACO is managing the contract for the contracting officer, who is here at the district as opposed to out in the field, out with the resident office. So the communication is important, and then contractors, as they're conducting their work, they may have questions. So they may submit a request for information, an RFI that'll go to our staff. If the resident office evaluates the RFI, and if more information is needed, or if it's going to result in maybe modification, they may have to coordinate with the contracting officer. And then also the ACO is involved in evaluating any kind of request for equitable adjustment that the contractor may send in. So if the contractor's doing a job and he or she says that they find something that they didn't expect in the contract, they may submit an REA and say, hey, we didn't expect this. This wasn't in the original plans and specs. The resident office and the ACO, they will evaluate that REA and they will determine if it has merit.
The culmination of tireless efforts, project completion is a momentous occasion. As we celebrate the successful realization of our vision, we reflect on the challenges overcome and the community benefits achieved.
And finally, question 6, what defines a successful project completion in the construction phase? How is this achievement marked, and what considerations shape the transition from construction to the next phase in the project journey?
First off, to have a successful project, we want our contract to meet the intent of why it was created. So if we're going to do a job and all the effort that we put into it, all the money that both the government and the sponsor put into it, we want quality work, and we want it for what we paid for it, and we want to meet the goals of the project. In order to have that successful project, we need to make sure that the project's on time, on budget, on schedule, and also performs safely. Because safety, everyone deserves to go home at the end of the day in the same way that they came to work. When the contract is complete, it will be called substantially complete. And so substantial completion is when the owner, whether it's the government or the sponsor, can utilize the facility. And then construction completion is when everything is completely done. So those are the milestones that we track as far as completing a project. And then after it's marked complete, then we go into the closeout phase. And so that's when you're doing your final pay estimates, and if you have any documents such as O&M manuals, that's when those will be provided, as-built drawings, basically tying the bow on our project and saying it's finished.